What's up? My name is Glueboy. Welcome back to a character video. And this time, I'm gonna go right into it. It's probably like the most popular character in Warhammer and my personal favorite. We're gonna be talking about Trazyn the Infinite. This robotic kleptomaniac is the head archivist of the Solemnis Gallery, which is a giant museum created by him himself. Now, when I say museum, what you might be picturing is another famous British museum full of stolen shit, but this one is like that on a planetary scale. And like even further, because Trazyn, he collects a lot of things. Artifacts, people, and like events. He'll go to a planet, liberate them of some of their fancy stuff, as they don't know how to deal with their own stuff themselves. And besides, he's immortal. Might as well preserve these races that are gonna die out soon in this perfect gallery. He also steals people, which there's a good few examples of people he's stolen, and to some fun effects, and moments where he will recreate a famous event or war by also taking people and setting them up in fun little dioramas where they're locked in this like stasis, where either by his decision they can be fully aware or just completely asleep, where they are recreating this massive event that took place in the galaxy. The other thing that Trazyn's really popular for is he is a conniving little asshole. He is a piece of shit and he loves it. There are a lot of examples. I'll get into a few. A famous example of how trolly like Trazyn is a famous letter he sent Inquisitor Valeria. I'm not gonna read it out. Not the greatest narrator when it comes to quotes and stuff, but like it's right here. You can pause it and read it. It's excellent, just kind of lording over the fact that, oh, you sent people to come like liberate others from my gallery. How kind of you for this gift. And then promptly locks her in another Tesseract labyrinth, like, oh, if you escape it, you can get it. As well, another great example is his appearance during the whole Fall Acadia and in the game Battlefleet Gothic 2, where he has a fun little conversation with Belisarius Cawl.
I mean you no harm.
But you are an abomination.
I prefer honored guest. But abomination or not, you and I have common cause.
Logic dictates otherwise.
Then you don't seek to understand the nature of this matrix.
You comprehend its secrets.
I was there when they first awakened. Or perhaps I wasn't. Memory is such a fickle thing. Neither of us desires to see this galaxy ripped asunder by the Imperial ones. Destroy me if you wish. Nothing will change. For me, for you, for this world.
Show me.
He has a few more little appearances, like the only good episode of Hammer and Bolter, and even better, the phenomenal book, The Infinite and the Divine. Please read this book. It is amazing. It's probably my favorite Warhammer book, like hands down. All of these examples kind of lay out Trazyn's personality. He is really charismatic and kind of lords over you in a lot of ways, and is generally aware of the type of person he is, and seems to be that he's the type of character that really like chews the scene whenever they're in it. He's having a great time for everybody else. And one of the big reasons he acts this way is because of his title, The Infinite. As Trazyn has this fun little habit of hopping into other Necron bodies and overriding their personalities and just taking over their bodies, forming itself through the necrodermis to look like him, then going around his business. Where you kill Trazyn, he's just gonna bounce his consciousness to a nearby like Lich Guard or like Overlord nearby, like any of those, and just overwrite them, take over that body and leave. Or he might be out on some excavation or relic procurement, wherever that might be, and it might not be even his body. He, goes out, steals someone's body, travels there, while his real body is like back on Solemnis, like doing God knows what. Though, let's real quick go through a little list of the canonical things that Trazyn has stolen. We have a Thunder Warrior, the preserved head of Sebastian Thor, the guy I talked about last video, like the guy who took over for Goj Vandire, he has his head somehow. A perfect clone of Fulgrim before he went all chaos snaky, gifted to him by Fabius Bile. This awful Xenos like race that's now extinct called an enslaver. He has a husk of it. He has a full ass custodian. No clue how he got his hands on that one. Anyone who read Gaunt's Ghosts, he has the other Tanith guard regiments. And as well, he just has a lot of just different regiments of many armies. Because a big thing he'll do is his little Tesseract labyrinths kind of act like Pokeballs, where he's in a combat, things are coming at him, he'll throw out a Pokeball, choose, say, a Drukhari raiding fleet that he just stole, and now like, oh, there's just a bunch of Drukhari suddenly in the enemy's way. Well, gotta fight them first, as he hightails it out of there. We also have Lord Castellan Usakar Creed, this really important character, an absolute Chad of a man. He will get a video later. Where at the end of the Fall Acadia, he took Creed because he couldn't get his hands on Abaddon, but Creed did a really good job defending Cadia. So might as well take this guy. He'd be a good exhibit. And he has like a lot more. His gallery is like planet sized. As like the ways he categorizes his gallery is through like continents and full on coordinates he needs to even navigate, because the place is a full on labyrinth. Even like Trazyn doesn't know where everything is. The one big thing I do want to point out is a lot of people meme on Trazyn's character, and I do the same, as he is inherently like goofy. He's like slimy, snarky, like it is really that very charismatic villain type. However, like there's a real depth to him that I think a lot of people miss or just haven't fully delved into like Trazyn's stuff. Trazyn's story is one of watching your society degrade and not being able to do anything about it. As Necrons don't have souls, so they can't create anything. There's no more art, poetry, societal advancement, culture, and that's non-existent for the Necrons anymore. They're a bunch of war robots. And Trazyn's job, even before like the whole biotransference thing, he was an archivist. He did anthropology, archaeology, all that stuff. And now he's immortal, like living in this galaxy with all these like immense, powerful civilizations, or these fascinating Xenos races that all have a thriving culture that he can only watch and really just study. As well, like, this is a quote I will actually read, because I think it's a very good quote. It's from The Infinite Divine, not a major spoiler, but it's an important bit. As Trazyn really dislikes a lot of people in 40k, because at the end of the day, he's kind of a conservationalist and like really cares about the environment and these planets. As in Infinite the Divine, he mind controlled a librarian so he could get access to all these books. And at the end of this librarian's life, the librarian was asking a few questions. Just at this moment, he had the freedom to do so, and asked him, like, are you going to destroy this world? Like, what's your plans with it? And Trazyn responds with this. Let me put it this way. I was here when this whole island was forced, when the waves lapped on what is now Embassy Row, a time before pollutants hazed the air and the monsoon rains came naturally, not via cloud seeding. So when you ask whether I intend to destroy this world, my question to you is this. Do you truly need the help? So it's stuff like that that truly makes up his character, as the purpose of the gallery is so when the Necrons reawaken and their main like goal is to get like their flesh bodies back and regain their soul. And when that eventually happens, he wants this gallery to exist to basically work through like the Necrons through the time they've been asleep, and so they can come back. And like as well, there's a large part of his gallery that is dedicated to the war in heaven, that whole time. And like the Necrontyr like flesh times, as he calls it, where it's this kind of like sad place he tries to avoid, but it helps because it fills in the gaps. As you know, his memory's been degrading because he's alive and went through the great sleep. You know, his culture, the Necrontyr culture, means a lot to him. And like this is again beginning of the book, but there's a part where like the other main character, Orikin the Diviner, has broken into his library and they're having a scuffle in the war in heaven, like gallery. And Orikin is like damaging some of the like exhibits, and even like destroys an old Necrontyr pot. which Trazyn like is genuinely upset about this. Like that moment you get his like personality cracks and he's like distraught because here's Orican, another Necron who should understand the weight of what these are. But as Orican sees it, I don't look to the past, I look to the future to determine what the future will bring. He doesn't care about what came before. And Trazyn's like the only one who cares. It's something he's really just kind of holds in deep and is really upset about, like deep down. So I do genuinely recommend, if there's anything from just any of this, please read The Infinite and the Divine. I do strongly believe it's one of the best 40k books. I think it really ties in this character that is still goofy, like strutting around, like peacocking around, man spreading in his gallery, just eating the scene and just kind of lording over everybody. He's a really fully fleshed out character. And I truly think that's what gets me with Trazyn. I like a character that is goofy, but is also like has serious moments. Can be the serious character when you need him, or can be kind of a gag character you can throw in at some other point. So yeah, if you want to experience Trazyn, Infinite and Divine, Battlefleet Gothic 2, he actually appears in the Fabius Battle book Clone Lord. Their conversation is really good. Fabius and Trazyn kind of just, their personalities bounce off of each other in a really fun way, because they're very similar in a lot of ways, but, you know, different in some other key parts. And as I said, he's in the only good Hammer and Bolter short, like really it. So, you know, there's a lot of good options. I recommend reading into them. But yeah, it's gonna be about it. See ya.